At 35,000 feet in the middle of the night, a pregnant woman gasps for air as panic spreads through the plane. No doctor responds, and hope fades fast until a teenage boy from economy stands up with nothing but knowledge and courage. In his heart, what he does next stuns first class and changes 3 lives forever. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video and tell us where are you watching from. Now let's jump into the story. At 35,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean, the airplane hummed softly as cabin lights dimmed to a gentle glow. Passengers settled into their seats, some sipping warm tea, others already asleep, the hum of the engines blending with the soft rustle of blankets and the occasional ding from the call button in seat 1D. Brianna Kessler shifted uncomfortably. Her hand moved slowly toward her chest. Her breathing had turned shallow and uneven. Sweat trickled down her forehead, though the cabin was cool. Her husband Gregory noticed immediately, his wine glass still half full, his eyes now locked on her face. "Brianna," he whispered, leaning close. "What's wrong?" She tried to answer, but her voice came out in a whisper, barely audible. "Greg, I can't breathe." Panic flashed across his face as he stood abruptly, knocking his tray table with a clatter. The attendant in first class, Clara, turned sharply, alarmed by the sudden movement. "We need help," Gregory called out, his voice cracked with fear. "My wife can't breathe." Clara rushed forward, her voice calm but urgent. "Is there a doctor on board?" she asked, scanning the cabin. "Medical emergency. Please identify yourself." Silence followed, a long, terrible silence. Passengers looked up, murmured among themselves, but no one stood. No hand was raised in seat 24F, tucked near the rear of economy. 16-year-old Malik Turner removed one earbud, his playlist still humming quietly from his phone. He had been half asleep reviewing flashcards on his screen, but the words from the intercom snapped him awake. He knew those symptoms. He had seen them before: the tight chest, the blue lips. The shallow, breathless Aunt Delilah had collapsed in their living room 1 year ago. The paramedics said it was a pulmonary embolism, a blood clot in the lung. They nearly lost her, but Malik had never forgotten the signs. His heart pounded as he looked around. No one was moving. No one was offering help. He stood slowly, his voice quiet but steady. "Excuse me, I think I might know what's wrong." The flight attendant walking down the aisle barely turned. "Please remain seated unless you are a licensed medical professional," she replied quickly, her tone automatic. "Please listen," Malik said louder, his voice rising above the quiet hum. "I'm not a doctor, but she could have a clot. Pregnant women are at higher risk." "I've seen this before." Clara turned toward him, her eyes narrowed. She hesitated, then touched her earpiece. "Captain, passenger in economy claims he may have knowledge of the symptoms." As she approached Malik, she took in the sight of a teenage boy in a hoodie. Jeans slightly too short, a backpack at his feet. She hesitated again, then nodded once. "Come with me. But if you're wrong, I pray I'm not," Malik said as he stepped into the aisle. Walking past the rows of passengers, some turned to watch, others scoffed quietly, their eyes doubtful. Gregory looked up as Malik approached, his eyes full of confusion and mistrust. "Who is this?" he asked sharply. "Where is the doctor?" "There isn't one," Clara said, "but this young man says he may know what's going on." Gregory frowned, one hand still clutching Brianna's. "She's my wife. She's pregnant. I don't want guesses." Malik didn't flinch. His eyes were focused, his voice even. "Sir, I understand, but her symptoms match a pulmonary embolism. The risk is higher during pregnancy. We need to act quickly. She needs oxygen, and maybe aspirin if she's able to take it." Clara opened the emergency kit, her hands moving faster now. "We have aspirin." Brianna's head turned slightly toward Malik, her voice weak. "My left leg. It was swollen yesterday. I thought it was just the flight." Malik nodded. "That's where it probably started. If it traveled to her lung, it could be serious. We need to move fast." Gregory looked between them, frozen for a moment. The world around him seemed to blur. Only the sound of Brianna's strained breathing. Cut through the haze, his grip tightened, then loosened. "Do what he says," Gregory whispered. His voice cracked. "Please." Clara handed Malik the aspirin. His hands were steady as he guided Brianna to chew it slowly, her lips trembling. Eyes barely open. He adjusted the oxygen mask carefully over her nose, and mouth line between economy and first class disappeared in that moment. Passengers watched silently, judgment forgotten. There was only a young boy trying to save a life, and a woman holding on with what breath she had left us. The engines roared softly, and the plane flew across the ocean night. A quiet strength took hold in the aisle between seats. A strength that no title, no seat number, no luxury could ever bind. As Malik knelt beside Brianna, guiding her through every breath, no one on that plane knew it yet. But the course of several lives had just begun to change forever. The aisle between first-class seats became a narrow stage lit by the faint glow of reading lamps. Malik Turner, only 16, knelt beside Brianna Kessler, cradling a pulse oximeter. In shaky fingers, he had grabbed the device from the emergency kit, while Clara, the senior attendant, fetched extra blankets. Around them passengers whispered and craned their necks, each voice a gust of doubt. Yet Malik heard only the rasp of Brianna's breath and the muffled roar of engines. He counted heartbeats beneath her wrist, murmuring steady instructions. "Slow breaths, Mrs. Kessler, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Keep the air gentle." Her eyes fluttered, acknowledging the rhythm, while her husband Gregory hovered helpless and pale, clutching a rolled blanket beneath her calves. Wealth and titles vanished, leaving only fear and hope tangled together in the cramped space. Clara clicked her intercom mic. "Captain, we require immediate diversion, closest hospital, with neonatal support, please." A crackling reply confirmed a turn toward Geneva, 23 minutes to touchdown. Malik's mind strung those minutes like fragile beads, each one a chance for the clot to move or dissolve. His Aunt Delilah had warned him blood can be stubborn. Boy, but courage must be more stubborn. Remembering her words, he adjusted Brianna's mask, inch by inch, easing fresh oxygen into tired lungs. "Swollen ankles always first," he told Gregory. "Elevate, and keep her warm." "Yes, sir, we need the circulation." He spoke with calm, perhaps borrowed from memories of late-night study sessions, where biology diagrams replaced comic books. The passengers, seeing a kid in a hoodie, failed to imagine the long evenings he spent translating medical articles into simple language, so Aunt Delilah could understand her own chart. A man in row 2 muttered disbelief to his seatmate, yet offered no alternative. A quiet testament to bystander hesitation. Another traveler slid a small bottle of water across an armrest, whispering, "Use this if she can swallow." Acts of kindness trickled forward as if Malik's resolve turned spectators into allies. He accepted the bottle with a nod before coaching. Brianna threw a tiny sip, letting the liquid moisten her throat. Her color shifted from ash to fragile pink, and Malik felt a surge of guarded relief. Still, he noted her pulse racing across the monitor, 126 beats per minute, too high but slowing. "Breathe with me now," he said, matching his inhale to hers, drawing her focus away from panic. Gregory watched the boy with a mix of awe and doubt. Fingers trembling against the leather seatback, he finally asked, "Where did you learn all this?" Malik answered without looking up, "Real life, sir. My aunt got sick, and I had to learn quick. Nobody else was coming." The words struck Gregory harder than turbulence. He realized that the boy's confidence was not an act, it was a necessity forged in hospital corridors, far from private jets. Suddenly, the billionaire felt small beside the teenager who held his wife's life between steady palms. The plane dipped into descent, engines throttling back, passengers braced themselves, seatbelt lights blinking amber. Clara knelt again, announcing, "Paramedics are standing by. Stay strong, we are nearly home free." Malik locked eyes with Brianna. "You are doing amazing. Keep counting with me. 1, 2, 3, hold 2 out 2. Her chest obeyed the pace, easing against the straps of her maternity dress. Gregory squeezed her hand, whispering love and apologies, his earlier fear melting into quiet faith. Around them, tension softened like ice beneath sunrise. Even the businessman who had doubted fell silent, watching hope unfold in real time. Minutes crawled forward, yet Malik never wavered. He dabbed sweat from Brianna's brow, whispered jokes about airplane food, anything to anchor her mind. As city lights glittered beneath the wing, a collective breath filled the cabin. Malik felt Brianna's pulse again, 110 steadier. Good sign, he declared, though he ended the sentence with a humble nod. The battle not finished. Wheels thudded onto the runway, sparks of friction lighting the darkness outside. A soft cheer rose, then hushed as Malik reminded everyone she still needs care. Stay calm, folks. Doors opened against dawn. Chill medics rolled in with bright vests and purposeful strides. As they lifted Brianna onto a stretcher, she reached for Malik's wrist, mouthing, "Thank you." The boy in the aisle watched her disappear down the jet bridge, knowing his competition in Munich was lost, yet feeling lighter than air. For he had traded one dream for a life saved and a future he could not yet imagine, but one that had already begun changing far more than he ever planned. His heart thudded with tired triumph as the first light of morning spilled through the aircraft windows and passengers finally saw him not as a kid in economy, but as the bridge that carried a mother and child across the night sky to another dawn. The hospital waiting room in Geneva buzzed with soft footsteps and low voices, the kind of quiet that feels loud when your thoughts are racing. Malik Turner sat hunched in a plastic chair, his backpack on the floor and a half-open folder resting on his knees. Inside were papers for the science competition he had traveled across an ocean to attend. Now creased and forgotten, his hands were still trembling, though hours had passed since they touched Brianna's wrist. He stared ahead, not really seeing anything, just replaying every breath, every instruction, every moment, where it could have gone wrong across the room. Gregory Kessler leaned against a vending machine, a foam cup of bitter coffee untouched in his hand, his expensive coat wrinkled and his usually polished shoes dull with airport dust. He watched Malik in silence, unsure how to approach the boy who had done what no one else on that plane could do. Finally, he walked over slowly and sat down beside him, not saying anything at first, just breathing deeply as if trying to make space for the words he wasn't sure how to say. Malik didn't look up, his voice low. "How's she doing?" Gregory nodded. "The doctors say she's stable. They found the clot and treated it in time. The baby's okay too, heart rate normal. They're both resting now." A long pause settled between them, filled only by the beep of machines and the distant chatter of nurses. Then Gregory turned slightly. "They also said the aspirin and oxygen likely saved her life." "They said what?" "You did mattered." Malik nodded once but didn't smile, his eyes fixed on the folder on his lap. "The competition's in Munich," he said quietly. "I missed it. Interview was this morning. I won't get another shot." Gregory's jaw tightened, guilt settling into the lines of his face. "I didn't know," he said. "I mean, of course you had somewhere to be, and you chose not to go." "Wasn't a choice," Malik replied simply. "She needed help. I couldn't walk away from that." Gregory studied him then, really looked. Not at the hoodie or the worn shoes, but at the calm in his voice and the strength behind it. "I want to help you," he said suddenly. "I have the means, if there's anything you need. School, travel, funding, name it." Malik turned finally to meet his eyes, his expression steady. "I don't want money," he said. "Not for me anyway." Gregory blinked, surprised. "Then what?" Malik took a deep breath. "My Aunt Delilah. She raised me. She's got heart problems and lung disease and arthritis so bad she can't get up the stairs in our apartment anymore. She's waiting for a heart specialist, but the list is so long she might not live to see one." He paused. "You want to help her, get her seen by a real doctor. Help her get the care she needs, because I'd rather see her live than cash a check for something I already gave." Gregory swallowed hard, nodding slowly. "Okay," he said. "Yes, of course. I can make that happen." Malik wasn't done. "But it's not just her," he added. "Our neighborhood's full of people like her. Folks who've worked all their lives and still can't afford decent care. The clinics are overwhelmed. People take 3 buses just to fill a prescription. If you really want to help, don't write a check and walk away. Build something that stays." Gregory sat back, overwhelmed by the weight of the request, not because it was unreasonable, but because it revealed just how little he truly knew about the world beyond his circle. "You're asking for a lot," he said quietly. "I'm asking you to see it." Malik replied, "Not save it, just see it. And if you care, then partner with it. Don't fix it from above, build with us from the ground." For a long moment neither of them spoke. Gregory stared at the floor, lost in thought. Then finally he nodded. "I'll think about that. That's all I'm asking," Malik said, standing slowly, his voice tired but clear. "I should probably rebook my flight, get back home." Gregory stood too. "Wait," he said. "Brianna asked for you. She wants to thank you in person." Malik paused, his shoulders stiff. "Are you sure?" "Yeah," Gregory replied. "She's the reason I came to talk to you in the first place." As they walked down the long hallway together, neither of them spoke. But something between them had shifted, not quite friendship, not yet trust, but a quiet understanding, a new beginning unfolding one step at a time, the kind of change that doesn't shout, but speaks in softened footsteps and open doors. And in that quiet walk toward a hospital room, two lives from two different worlds began to move just slightly closer, towards something neither of them had expected when they boarded that plane, but something both now knew was worth every cost. A week later, in a quiet corner of East Atlanta, the morning sun warmed the cracked sidewalks, and the smell of baked cornbread drifted from a third-floor apartment window. Malik Turner stood at the top of the stairs waiting by the door, his hands slightly sweaty and his heartbeat louder than he expected. Inside, his Aunt Delilah had been up since dawn cooking enough food for a crowd. She wore her floral apron and her favorite earrings for the first time in months. Today wasn't just another doctor visit or a long phone call with the pharmacy. Today was different. A black car pulled up on the street below and parked slowly. The door opened and Gregory Kessler stepped out, carefully adjusting his jacket and glancing at the building's chipped paint and crooked steps. Brianna followed gently, holding her belly, which had grown noticeably since that flight. She smiled softly at the sight of Malik waving down to them. "You're more nervous now than when I was in labor," she whispered to Gregory with a teasing grin. Gregory gave her a sheepish look. "This woman raised the kid who saved your life. I just want to make a good impression." They made their way up the stairs slowly, with Malik reaching to help Brianna on the last step. The door opened before they knocked, and Aunt Delilah stood tall in her dress and pearls, her cane leaning nearby, her eyes sharp and voice even sharper. "These the airplane people?" she asked. "Come in then, don't let the heat out." Gregory stepped in, holding a paper bag filled with fruit and tea. "Mrs. Delilah, thank you for having us. We brought a few things." "Set it down," she said, waving at the table without looking. "Now sit and tell me what exactly you plan to do for this neighborhood, and why I should believe a man who flies in on a plane thinking money solves broken things." Gregory blinked, unsure if she was joking, but her face was serious and steady, so he sat and began to speak slowly and honestly. He told her about what Malik had said, about how he realized he had spent years sending money overseas, but never thought to look just a few miles from home. He spoke of building something lasting, not for headlines, but for healing. A place where people like Aunt Delilah could get care with dignity, and without begging for help she listened without interrupting, her hands folded in her lap, eyes never leaving his face. When he finished, she leaned back and nodded once. "You're not as clueless as I thought," she said. "Still green, but at least you're listening." Brianna smiled and reached for Delilah's hand. "We also want to make sure you get full care now, private visits, everything you need." Delilah didn't smile, but her voice softened slightly. "I appreciate it, but don't do it because you feel guilty. Do it because folks like me matter, even if we never save your life." Later they walked through the neighborhood, with Malik pointing out the small pharmacy that rarely had what they needed, the clinic with only one doctor for hundreds of patients, the bus stop where people waited hours just to reach the nearest hospital. Gregory said little, but he took it all in each corner, each face, each crack in the system, now visible where once he never looked within months. The Oakfield Health Initiative was announced, a new community health center built with funding from the Faving Kessler Foundation and guided by local voices. It would offer free checkups, emergency care, specialty services, and even a shuttle program to help residents reach appointments safely. Malik was offered the position of youth advisory chair and a scholarship to attend a pre-med program at a local university with future opportunities to expand the work he had started on a plane above the clouds when Brianna gave birth to a healthy baby girl. The name lingered on their lips until she looked up and said, "I think we already know what to call her." Gregory nodded slowly, understanding before she even said the words, "Delilah Grace." Brianna whispered, because she carried more than herself. She carried hope. The day they brought the baby to visit Aunt Delilah was quiet and warm. Sunlight filled the apartment as the older woman held the child gently in her arms. Her voice steady but soft as she said, "Strong name. Let's make sure she grows into it." Gregory stood nearby watching her and Malik talking over lunch and medical charts and new ideas for the clinic. And he realized something had changed. Inside him, something he didn't have words for yet. Because Malik hadn't asked for money or power or even thanks. He had asked for dignity for his aunt, for his community, for people he didn't even know. And that request had opened a door Gregory never knew was closed. And so as the baby slept in Delilah's arms and Malik drafted new goals on a napkin and Brianna laughed softly in the kitchen, the future felt not just possible, but already in motion. Not because of a donation or a foundation, but because a teenager in a hoodie once stood up when no one else did and changed more than just one life. He changed how lives could be seen, valued, and healed from that day forward.